Hi, I'm Charlie. I live down by French Pass in the Marlborough Sounds. Probably 2 years ago, roughly a couple of years ago, we sold our little business we had, and the opportunity was there to come down and live down the Sounds permanently. So we jumped at it with both hands, and we've been down here ever since for the last 2 years. We are totally off grid. I guess when we used to use it as a batch, before we moved down here on a permanent basis, we used to use the generator as our sole power. So when you wanted power, you had to turn the generator on and so forth. So obviously the wife wanted more of a permanent system when we came down here to live. So we went down the solar road, and very grateful we did, because it's an awesome little setup that runs itself. You hardly notice you're not on the grid, to be fair. The decision, as far as making the decision on what generator to get, we'd done a bit of research and talked to a few people about it, on different sites and places, and came down to, for me, the choice of two. There was the GT and there was the Honda. And not taking anything away from the Honda, they are, a good machine, but they come with a nice price tag too. And the GT, in my mind, sort of matched it as far as features go and power-wise and everything else. And so that's the main reason we actually went with the GT, because value for money, that's where it's at. How the generator is matched to the system, it's basically a standby situation where if there's no sun for a certain period of time, maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days, then the batteries get pulled down to a level where they need topping up. It's hooked via a 2-wire auto-start system to the generator from the inverter, and the inverter will tell the generator basically, hey buddy, we need to top these batteries up. And so the generator starts up, tops up the batteries at a certain voltage. It says, yep, thanks very much, and turns the generator back off again. The main thing that I guess living off grid has taught me and my wife is you do have to think about it a little bit more. So in regards to power consumption, for example, the latest technology out there, inverter technology, and so that's what we're running. Most of our stuff is all done through inverter technology, and it just keeps that power consumption down to a minimum, which is what you're looking for in an off-grid situation. So primarily our power comes pretty much from solar. So we're set up with an off-grid solar system, pretty much runs itself, and it's so efficient you really don't realise that you're not even on the grid, connected to the grid, so it works really well. So we've got 9 315 watt panels. It brings in on average around 2 to 3,000 watts, depending on the time of the day and the sun, of course. So the inverter, that's a 5 kVA inverter. Well, it's supposed to only put out 4,000 watts, but we have had a couple of instances where communication between me and the wife hasn't been that great, and we've noticed that we're probably closer to 4,500 watts, but still no problem, it runs it good as gold. The issue we had with this system was it had to be a fairly big generator, alternator, whatever you want to call it, to keep up with the demands of the inverter. So that was really the thing that made us, or led us to the GT, if you like. There was really only a couple of options on the table. We spoke to various people about it, and there was a Honda or the GT. And the GT obviously matched the Honda as far as all its capacities and stuff, so ticked every box, plus it was cheaper. And so, that's primarily what led us to the GT, was, it ticked all the boxes. It's been faultless. It's been absolutely amazing. It's a pretty critical piece of the puzzle as far as when your batteries are low, obviously you need to put some juice into the batteries. Well, if the generator doesn't do its thing, then you can actually kill, probably $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 worth of batteries pretty quick. So I rely on that generator very, very much so. And so it goes faultless. It's never not started. It's never not done its job. It's just an invisible giant that's always there doing its job, It's just Been amazing. The noise compared to I call it the white elephant, the old white generator we used to have, you had to turn up the TV with that girl even inside, whereas the GT, you have to literally open the door and listen to hear that it's going. It's an amazing, I don't know how they got it so quiet, but yeah, no, it's noise-wise, it's amazing. The few basic things that I wanted out of it really were its capacity. So it had to be big enough to obviously keep up with what the demands of that inverter were, and it certainly does that. My wife was very sceptical, and I felt like there was a noose around my neck when I first got it, because she said, if it doesn't work, you spend all this money. I said, it'll work. And thankfully it did. It absolutely nailed it. And so, yeah, it was the capacity to run it. And I guess the kicker is, yeah, it's quiet. You're not bothered by the noise, and it's reliable. So, yeah, there's really no negatives to that little baby over there. So I've done my own little tests. I mean, it's got I think a 26-litre tank on them. For my setup with my batteries here, it takes around 2 hours, I suppose, thereabouts, give or take, depending on your batteries, how they're sitting, to charge up. And that usually uses around that sort of 2 to 3 litres, and then obviously it switches off. So that's about pretty much 3 litres is about the maximum I use per time it comes on, I literally go over there once a week or a couple of times just to check the fuel, make sure it's happy and reasonably full, I think that it's a nail on the head. It's a great value machine. For what you pay for, it's a great value for machine that you can rely on, It certainly does the job for me, and yeah, can't say enough about it. It's an awesome little machine. Been a while since I checked them, but I think there's 8 6-volt deep cycle batteries there. Carbon lead flooded or whatever, I don't know what the technical name for it is. So I got 8 of them there. I think in total they put out about 15 or 14.7 actually kilowatts of power. So that's where we're at with battery capacity, yeah. Voltage stability, I have experienced issues with it, but not with the generator I've got now. Again, it was the white elephant. Absolutely, the lights would dim. There was some horrible things going on with that. But now that we've got the GT, there's no fluctuation. There is absolutely no sign that it's not coming from the grid. It's perfect. So I was quite surprised. It's I think 105 kilos, and again I was a little bit nervous about how I was going to deal with things. But thanks to its creators, they've obviously thought about it, and it's got these little wheels, and basically I backed up to the landing here and then drove it down and parked it away in the shed. So it was no hassle at all. I would recommend it. Yeah, I mean, I understand it's any purchase on a significant piece of machinery is not an easy one to make sometimes, and money is always at the top of the list. But value for money, you can't go past the GT. It is an amazing little machine.